beautiful people. What's good? What's popping? I hope you're having a great day so far. If not, that's okay. That's all right. Come on. Sit down with me. We're going to flip that frown upside down, and we're going to get into another video for you, okay? So, I am deciding to get into a Degenerocity video that I saw come up on my For You page. This one is called Tipping Culture. Let's not waste no more time. Let's dive on in.
Tipping. A generous act of courtesy you do when you're more than satisfied with the service you were provided. And you give them a little extra money. Right. Usually you give these to your servers at restaurants, your barber, and strippers, just as a way of telling them you're doing a good job. Go get yourself a nice pair of undies. And this overall thing is practiced all around the world. It's not exactly a foreign concept for anybody. Right. Tipping is a normal thing, but no place on earth lets it give out the tip more than the US of A. We go X Games mode with the tipping over here, cause we be giving everybody tips. We tip our delivery drivers, taxis, bellhops, housekeeping.
No, and not only that, y'all. The minimum wage in the US, and this is sad, point blank period for 2025, is still $7.25 an hour. And I think that's just pitiful, because with inflation constantly rising, everybody across the U.S. should still be making a livable wage that keeps up with the time. So I definitely understand, tipping, but this is me because I used to wait tables. I did. And I always did not expect a tip. I never expected no type of tip. I never, thought I was entitled to a tip. I felt like if you do a great enough job at your table, if they leave you a tip, cool. But I'm starting to see this thing where people are feeling like entitled for you to tip them. And I don't agree with that necessarily. Because it is based off the experience that they have with you and how well your customer service is.
First, bartenders, if you're an in-person service, then most likely you accept tips. Even my homie's last job at the gas station where he just pumped people's gas, he got over $100 in tips in one day. I didn't even know people tip for that. We love to tip everybody except the homeless. But has it gone too far? Let me go off real quick. But I've been seeing tipping options where I've never seen them before. Like counter services, cashiers. I've never heard of tipping cashiers, but those blue blocks on the iPad beg to differ. One time I went to a concert and I went to the merch booth. I got a hoodie, bro handed me the hoodie, then turned around his iPad for a tip. Now I know these people don't get paid too well, but what in that interaction concurred a tip? Did he slip me $100 bill?
Speak on it. Because I was like, why? Like I said, I get it. It's hard. I definitely understand it. But all you did was bag my groceries. You want a tip for that? Why the store not paying you what you worth? Like, that's just where my mind goes.
A hoodie that I didn't see? I don't think so. So, I don't think I'm going to tip. But I would usually see these in local businesses most of the time, so that's all fine and dandy. But I've heard Starbucks is also doing tips. Now, I don't really go to Starbucks because it's just not for me. I like my coffee a certain way. I like my coffee how I like my men. Long, black, and Vietnamese. And no offense to you Starbucks employees out there, but I'm going to treat y'all like McDonald's and Burger King. Like, why would I tip the drive-thru cashier? That just sounds unnecessary. And as long as those restaurants are not asking for tips, then I'm never going to tip. Don't get no ideas, please. However, I understand why these workers would want to tip them. They work low-wage jobs, and sometimes they got families to take care of at home. So a tip or two would make their lives a little bit easier. But I'm selfish. I'm not trying to tip at Wendy's, bro. But I know that they will eventually...
No. And I think I've said this in a previous video, maybe some videos that I made. I also do, like Uber Eats, DoorDash on the side, sometimes on my weekends just for a little bit of extra cash for some bills. And this is just me. I do appreciate when a customer tips me, but you don't have to tip. 9 out of 10, the ride that I accept, I try to make sure it's not just too low for depending on how far I gotta go to give you your food. So by me accepting your order 9 out of 10, I'm already fine with whatever Uber is giving me. So if you get throwing in an extra tip on top of that, of course I appreciate you. But there's been times, y'all, I would see somebody tip like 50 cents, 75 cents. And I just be like, keep that. Oh, keep that. You could have kept that. And I'm not saying that I'm ungrateful at all. But it's like, I don't want nobody feeling pressure to tip, especially if they probably can't. So keep your money.
quickly come. I can smell it. This is the US. We'll somehow incorporate tipping into everything. So the employers can justify why they're paying their employees minimum wage. And whenever someone doesn't tip, they get mad at us instead of the business that's getting...
You see what I'm saying? I don't even get mad. That's why I'm like, I don't pressure anybody into tipping me.
Giving them a non-living wage. That's why tipping is super pushed. So restaurants, for example, can pay their waiters low salaries to encourage them to aim for tips. So the waiters have to be as upstanding, top of their tippy toes, holly jolly of a worker as possible to try to get ends meet. So the customer can walk away feeling happy about their experience, the owner of the restaurant being happy because of the profit and good look of the business, while the waiters walk away with a $2 tip and food stamps for a salad. Or at least that's just my theory, my game theory. Now, people that have never had a job might say, ain't that a good thing? It makes the waiters actually try to do their job well, bro. Ain't nobody want to work minimum wage, period,
No.
bro, in this economy.
And I did it, but this is before, like, just inflation how it is now. When I first started working, when I was like 16, 17, I was getting paid $7. That's $7.25, y'all. Oh my gosh. And barely was making $200 every 2 weeks. It was pitiful.
Doesn't matter if I'm getting tips. All it takes is one bad day of penny pinching tips to be like, well, Scoob, I guess we have to eat whatever's in the fridge tonight. I should know. I used to be a waiter. I was a waiter for weddings and other events in my late senior year, and my wage was decent, $15 an hour, and for a high school student, that's pretty good.
That's good, because like I said, I was getting $7.20, that's $7.25. Goodness. Luckily, I was still in school, so it wasn't like I had big bills to pay, but I had my little phone bill, and I was getting ready to try to go to college. That's what I was trying to say. That wasn't nothing, but I made it work. Y'all.
Plus, I only worked on the weekends. Man, this job was gonna be a breeze. But that was only because I was a kid. I ain't need that much in the first place.
Yeah.
All I thought is, if I can afford food, sold. But to spoil the fun, most of the time, I did not get any tips or very little tips. And 95% of my gigs was at weddings, so the food was already paid for. I was giving these niggas free food, and I got nothing. And I was always all nice and shit. I was never mean. I was all like, hello, hot diggity day, what would you lovely people?
And anybody that's worked customer service in anything, retail, food, you already know how hard it is when you're possibly trying to work for a tip and you're already having a bad day, or you possibly waited at a table that had a nasty attitude before you, and you got to keep going like it didn't affect you.
People like to have. I thought I was doing a good job. I even shaved off my hair to be more presentable, which is something I still regret to this day. Don't cut the hair you love for no jobs. Unless it look like this. You might get no job with that. I did get tips sometimes. The biggest tip I've ever gotten was $40 from a table of old white women and a gay dude. And from then on, they became my target audience. I'd always pick the table with the gay niggas, because I know they'd give me the biggest tip. And me complaining about small tips might sound like a trivial problem, but I'm talking about like in the grand scheme of things of this kind of job. Like if I was an adult with this job paying bills, taxes, rent, all that, I could not live like this.
I don't think I would
because I had coworkers in their late 20s, 30s, 40s who said they couldn't take care of themselves with this wage. That's why they sold drugs on the side. That's why we should hold these businesses accountable to have higher wages for their employees, so they don't have to rely on tips anymore. We must rise against this corrupt
revolution
business practice. Who's with me?
What the French say? Oh, is that the right thing? Let them eat cake. I may be using the wrong reference.
You're just saying this because you just don't want to pay tips no more. Well, duh. I don't like tipping.
But when I say revolution, I mean I'm feeling very French. Very much Les Miserables. If y'all get my drift. I think I said Marie Antoinette's quote, and that's wrong, right? Y'all let me know. I just be saying things to make y'all laugh and make y'all day, okay?
Who does? Who wants to pay more of their own money when they don't have to? I'm not a misogynist, a masochist. Wrong word. I am the other one. I'm not saying I don't tip. I do. But mainly because I want to at least try to balance out my good deeds with my bad ones when I'm in the pearly gates. I'm not trying to go to hell because I didn't tip my IHOP waitress who so happened to be battling cancer and diabetes that one time. I'm trying to get to heaven. But if I gave zero, darns, dangs, or I would almost never tip. I would look at the bill, then pay the bill, then end it there. I would only tip if I received outstanding service, because, most services nowadays are just average, regular stuff. Nothing to point out, but you still supposed to tip. In a perfect world, I would only tip if the person is enthusiastically nice. Fast service, give me a back massage, and also pay for my food. Then I would tip. I can understand tipping delivery drivers because they also need the money to pay for their gas, but that can go with the higher wage argument that I said earlier. And if they show up mad late, then I don't have to tip them.
That's why I said when it comes to those delivery services that I do, normally the one I use is Uber Eats. I choose which one. So I don't feel entitled for a tip. I'm not pressuring for a tip because I feel like it's just the responsibility of a choice for me.
You should bring back the 30 minutes or less or the food is free rule. I'd start ordering food from Russia on purpose. Save myself a stack. And like I said earlier, I know these people need these tips to survive. I know they have mouths to feed. I know. I feel you. But in the back of my mind, I know I have mouths to feed too. My own mouth. And tipping is slowly taking that away from me. Now I'm gonna starve. And remember earlier when I said tipping is not a foreign concept? Well, apparently it is to most countries.
Yeah.
Every time I look in the comment section.
And I haven't been able to travel out the country yet, but I hear apparently like in like China and Asian countries, it's very rude to tip. Like, because I hear apparently they make enough, and by you tipping them, it I think to them it feels like an insult, basically.
For a post regarding tipping, 90%.
Let me know if I got that right. I think when I read some things that, because I'm interested in traveling one day, so I do research on the countries I want to go to, and I think I came across a blog that said that.
10 of the comments will be from foreigners saying, well, over here in Timbuktu, Jumanji land, we never even heard of tipping. I didn't even know Jumanji was a real place, but it sounds like heaven if they don't tip. And it makes me think the people of the U.S. here are purposely fucking me with this tipping shit. It's to be expected we tip 20 to 25% of the bill here. You have a better chance pulling a gun on me and robbing me because that's the only way you're going to get that much money out of me. And I've been seeing news reports about how there's a spread of self-checkout machines with tipping options. Who the hell am I tipping? Mr. and Mrs. Walmart themselves?
Because the corporations are greedy. And half the time, they're not even, some of these corporations, they get all these tips and they're not even splitting it with the employees.
Why they need my money? Why they need a tip? Any self-checkout tipping machine out there could suck the tip of my pee-pee. That's what you could do. And like I said earlier, I do tip my delivery drivers and waiters. I do. But I hate tipping. I bloody hate it. If I could abolish it, I would. I hate it. However, I know it's the right thing to do. Or at least I was raised to believe if I don't tip my waiters, I'm a which I don't really believe now, but I begrudgingly admit tipping won't kill me, so I still tip. How much I tip? None of your beeswax. And even though I tip most of the time, I'm not gonna tell y'all you should tip. You could do whatever you want with the money you've earned. Like, I could be spending my money on helping the children in Africa and building houses there. But how else am I supposed to pay for my drip? I need money for my clothes, man. Those kids in Africa, they're not gonna pay for me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on tipping. Employees need better pay, so I can stop paying. And in conclusion, element of surprise.
Did you pray today? Did you pray today?
Hey, okay. I really did enjoy that video. That was a nice video. But yeah, y'all, that's why I said I used to wait tables. I never felt entitled for a tip. You didn't have to tip me, but I think the highest tip I ever received, I remember right, was like $20, and it was from an older gentleman, very much older gentleman, like senior citizen, and he had learned that this was my first job, and he was like, oh, okay, and he learned that I also told him I was getting ready to go to, college, and he wanted to see, if I had plans, and he saw, I had my head straight, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna give you a tip, just for, some good fortune, good luck in the future, and see you working hard, keep up the hard work. So, yeah, like I said, I never felt entitled for a tip. And like I said, why am I tipping you to bag groceries? Why am I tipping you to check me out with clothes? it's the math ain't mathing and it's not making sense. But yeah, y'all, that was Tipping Culture by Degenerocity. Let me know what you thought about this video down below in the comments. Don't be afraid, don't be shy to leave some feedback or suggestions for the next future watch on my channel. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys in the next video.